trainers, and together with Sergey, we're going to moderate this session. And we agreed that the logic of the session would be and should be as follows: business schools, corporate institutes and universities and training centers. We're going to look at the market of training services from the perspective of money and from some other perspectives. We're going to find out what's going on with all those stakeholders, including their challenges, problems, achievements, those of business schools, universities, and training centers. It is from these three perspectives that we're going to discuss the market situation, given the existing competitive environment and so forth. And we'll try to understand if it is a love triangle or a Bermuda Triangle. I'm not going to introduce all the speakers. We'll do that on the fly. Most importantly, they represent all the three stakeholders: business schools, corporate universities, and training companies. It's in this order that we will be passing it over to them to discuss the market situation and to share with us their vision of their market stance, their activities. Let's agree 10 minutes for each speaker. I'll be keeping the time. Another important point: in the end, I'll furnish the microphone to the floor. I already have applications, people wishing to speak out. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. As a moderator, I'll do my best to make that possible. Colleagues, to begin, I'd like to pass it over to Sergey Kalendzhyan. Good morning, dear friends. I'm really pleased to see you in our favorite room 237, which is really great for free discussion, open discussion, yielding a very beneficial environment. I have two individuals next to me who are the main players on the competitive market of training: Mr. Solovyov and Mr. Kukushkin, two bird names. On the way here, I couldn't help thinking that something was going to happen to me. And I thought that I should translate my family name to all those present here. In the Armenian language, it means the beloved one. And it is with this that I'm here. Well, the idea of this panel session was given birth to by two stakeholders. The Higher Corporate Management School suggested that we should discuss the topic of business schools and corporate universities, competitors or partners. More seriously, in the past couple of years, customers from major enterprises, almost all of them, left us. According to the intelligence that we have, representatives of those training entities have been attacking our best trainers and professors, and they do provide training for them. When they started inviting me, coming up with offers that were very hard to decline, and I could visit their classrooms and meet their students, I understood that they were not just competitors, they were true masters with all their equipment and collaterals. I have visited about 100 Western universities, but what they have here in Russia, even those folks in Howard cannot afford that. We obviously needed to transform ourselves. We are moving to the SMB segment, where there are other players offering training services while being more agile and flexible than bigger universities. They are not facing impediments related to the existing red ribbon, which appears to be a quite significant change out there in the market, which may require engaging the emotional intelligence to survive, to grow. But how can this be achieved? For us, it proved to be a quite complex task. We needed to change our attitude towards our students, and we decided to rely upon our alumni, which actually facilitated our sustainable growth in the past couple of years, growth on a declining market. You know, students are coming to get our services from major enterprises, but they are responsible for some between 10 and 15%. No more money from them, from major corporations. One is expected to take part in bidding. Our distinguished friends from IBD, they are accredited. They have accreditations and certificates from other entities. Some large business people come to us because they need those diplomas and certificates, and they want to use them as competitive advantage in their career building. This is the situation we're facing today. Since there are people from Moscow State University and some other serious market players present in this room, I deem it important discussing it here. Dominating here are representatives of training companies who are soldiers of this market, if you wish, and it would be really great if we could elaborate common vision of the existing situation. That's actually everything. Thank you very much, Sergey. Colleagues, what's important for me? It is a reduction of inflow from enterprises and business schools, the growth in the share of individuals, and the growth of the alumni base. Building upon this topic, I'd like to pass it over to Elena Yakuntova from the enterprise governance chair. Well, colleagues, let's welcome Elena. Don't forget to put the microphone on. Colleagues, we are discussing the market of business education, which means that we are discussing competition. And it cannot be ignored that in the conditions of a crisis, any competition becomes more acute, and the rules are determined by trends. The trends we're going to discuss today. But I'd like to start from partnership. There are three major players on the market of business education: business schools, corporate universities, and training centers. Mark mentioned them before me, each of them featuring their respective advantages and disadvantages, given the existing competitive environment, which actually determines the conditions in which they struggle for survival on the existing market. Speaking about the characteristics of this market, it's not a huge market. Today, about $356 billion plus are invested in training worldwide. How about the Russian business education? Of course, the investments here are much smaller. Why? Companies have smaller training and education budgets. The budgets are much smaller than the demand for this kind of education. And in the conditions of crisis, those budgets, even those budgets, are shrinking. Therefore, the support of training is very small. Key selection criteria in choosing providers are very low. There are also problems related to training methodologies. The development of curricula for business education in general has not become professional business. Professors, coaches, and trainers develop their own programs relying upon the requests that they receive from customers. There is shortage of professors, trainers, and coaches, even in leading business schools. We are limited in the ability of providing training to trainers. I'm sure that the situation is the same for training centers. The volume of the market is not significant. Therefore, we need to help this market develop. For this, we have to focus on generating demand for such training at both enterprise and individual level. We should change our customers' attitude towards developing criteria for service provider selection, which is expected to help investments grow, which will in turn improve our situation. For this demand for education to grow, and for the investments in education to grow, we have to work jointly on changing the ideology of training and development, working together with decision makers to change their mindsets, to change the paradigm, to align it, bring it in compliance with the market changes. We need to pursue a more systemic approach. This will help us to set better conditions and improve the overall market situation. All those processes are underway already. We are switching to competence-based operations, which is platform for yet another platform for our partnership development. Another important aspect for us is putting in place conducive environment for the establishment of professional community, including mass media, virtual education, online education. With this, we will help to promote this ideology. It will help us to make all the players of this market more emotionally charged, more enthusiastic. Well, that is actually everything. If you have any questions, I will gladly take them. I hope that our discussion today is going to be useful. Colleagues, Elena, thank you very much, first of all. Colleagues, now we're going to discuss the situation for all the three groups of market players. We have a business school wing, a training center wing, and now once Sergey has left us, we are in the center. Yes. Now, colleagues, I'd like to pass it over to business schools. And Olga Molchanova from the economics chair of Moscow State University is going to share her vision with us. Dear colleagues, to begin, I'd like to say thank you to Sergey Aganovich. We did not require actual translation, any translation of his family name, because we love him without it. Okay, colleagues, I'd like to discuss today a topic which is very important for all of us. And the ideas I'd like to share, the problems I'd like to discuss, of course, we will not be able to solve them today, but we should at least concentrate on them. I studied the questions for discussion very thoroughly, and 3 of them are extremely important for me. However, I'm in no position to consider them separately. Therefore, I'll be discussing them as a set of questions. Many of those present here, successful business education providers, and I'm speaking on behalf of business schools, are finding themselves in a pretty turbulent situation. We've been trying to understand the root causes for the situation. Sergey Aganovich has already started this discussion. We see new problems every single day. We prefer speaking in the language of factors, and they are obvious, including the current globalization, as well as fast development of managerial technologies, making us to change our educational content every single day, the information and communication technology, ICT. But I suggest that we look at the existing situation from the perspective of key players. It's not a triangle anymore. That is what I would like to underscore. The situation of the market of business education in Russia and internationally is similar to the situation in the air transportation market in the 1990s. We identify ourselves as the companies that are shown at the bottom of the slide. Some time ago, they were kind of monsters. The same applies to business universities of companies such as Lufthansa or Delta and so forth. But at a certain point in time, smaller players called low-costers came to the market. They started undermining the market, the main pillars of the market. It is a very important comparison. Look how fast and efficient they proved to be. Those low-budget companies, those low-costers on the market of business education, they have undermined the market. Competition based on new business models started. Who are they? Of course, to give you more details, I'll need more time, so I'll be only mentioning those who are most successful. And they are Kurson, which is Russian version of Udemy, Stepek, an open online course site, Strelka, or Vector, an online business school, Sberbank. These guys, they play proceeding from absolutely different rules compared to the triangle that was mentioned in the beginning. So why this turbulence? I'd like to list the reasons for it and try to outline our future. It would not be an exaggeration to say that we are seeing the end of our domination as business schools. The days are over when MBA programs had the upper hand on the market. So-called EdTech platforms are starting to prevail. They work on demand, while we're thinking how to improve the efficiency of our choice courses. The whole world is switching to the on-demand approach. It's also important to keep in mind that the consumers are different today. They have been corrupted by low-costers, so-called mass online courses, open on-demand courses. They are forming new consumption model. The business world is developing new culture for the consumption of educational services, and there are new business models out there on the market, including subscription-based models, where educational packages are offered to consumers, and the content of those packages are formed by the consumers themselves, which is 100% different logic. And this logic is set by those new players. We know that in the web economy, new business models, or so-called free business models, have been developing on the market of late. At the initial stage, and we know that from Skype, initially services are offered to you free of charge. Once you have started to like them, you subscribe. Even leading business school professors agree to provide free training online, and only those who wish to get more in-depth knowledge and want to be certified pay for services, which changes the landscape of the market 100%. What does it mean for us, traditional players of the business education market? We are facing dilemma, either to follow our own business model and strategy, which used to be quite successful, or start trying to shoot two birds at a time. The first approach has its advantages, however, the risk is in losing flexibility. And the second one is in experiencing stress between the two. We call it ambidextry. We shouldn't try to kill two birds with one stone. If we look at models such as e-learning or lifelong learning, we're pretty used to those approaches already. However, most recently, the world has been discussing another new model, which is called U-learning, which stands for ubiquitous learning. Even those who are pretty fluent in English don't fully understand this term. And it is a much broader notion. This model, of course, is based on different technology. Its basis is wireless sensor networks, WSN. And its meaning for us is absolutely different. And we have to get prepared for the advent of this approach, and we still do not have solution for this challenge, and I'm going to explain why. We are not just participants of competition. Partnership between competitors is an older form. The economic share of Moscow State University does not open any new programs on its own. We always do that in partnership with several other organizations. knowledge networks are set up. Business schools and enterprise universities start acting as cores or main nodes in those networks. I'm pretty familiar with the aviation industry. Well, here at Gaidar Forum, there was a session called Banking Without Banks. It made me scared. I'm afraid that next year there may be a session devoted to education services without education institutions and centers. But now I'm not that scared. We're not going to disappear. Instead, we will be acting as the main hub in those education networks. We are going away from centered learning. We're switching to learner-centered approach. And this new model, U-learning, also includes this informal learning model, not just lifelong learning. We're switching to life-placed learning. To summarize, the learners are not just in the center of the education process. For years, we have been discussing trajectories in education. In the modern context, in the conditions of U-learning development, the learner is the one who is in the center of the education process, integrating his and her knowledge or her knowledge with the knowledge and competence of the players on of the market of education services. It is the learner who shapes out the portfolio of education services, which builds up an ecosystem for professional development. You have 1 minute left.
2 words, yes. How should we do this? I have asked those questions, so my time is up, so I won't dwell on it, but I will say briefly, I don't know the answer, but we'll have to find it. Life will force us to find it. So, to conclude, I would like once again to mention to say what I started with. Today we won't find answers to these questions, but it is very important that we are asking our questions to us today. And we are planning to continue this reflection to the Moscow State University Economic Department. In March, we will have a round table there. We will be very glad if you take part in it. You have my contact data in the program. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much, Olga. Yes, I have colleagues. I have a few important points: low costs in education, new business models, new culture of consumption, new hubs and platforms as a prototype of or as intuit forms of doing this. So this is all very interesting, and I would be very. And it would be very good if you all speak about all those issues and their influence on your educational activities. And now I would like to give the floor to Alexander Chekanskiy, who is the dean of the Ibdar and Hicks strategic department. So he will continue as the line of business schools representatives. Good morning, dear participants. It's really very a very interesting issue, that is whether business education is a business driver of Russia, and how do such centers, education centers, cooperate with each other, Usually I have rather said answers to all those questions. Perhaps my view would be one-sided. I represent only one side of business education. But if you look at business education from the point of view of business schools, the MBA classical programs, you will see that the market is in the deepest crisis. If we look at who comes to the academy, these are 10 business schools, 30 MBA programs, executive MBA programs. It's about 1/3 of the whole Russian market of those MBA programs. We will see that over the latest 2 years, the number of people who come to those academies, new students, fell by about 15%. Of course, not everyone suffers from this crisis equally. Sergey wrote that the leading business schools have not just did not lose any. Did not have lower numbers of new students. They increased them 20 and 30% and more. And the Kazan, for example, business schools has doubled the number of its new students, and Mysaedov's own schools also increased the number of new students by 35%, and Sergey Kalendzhyan has also similar success. But if we subtract the EBITDA from the number of new students to academies, we will see that the numbers have decreased not by 15 by 25%. And I agree with Yulia Fukolova in the Harvard MBA review. She wrote that MBA programs lost 1/3 of students who would like to study them. So many programs are closing down, and business schools are closing down, and not only Russian but also foreign business schools working in Russia. For example, in St. Petersburg, Lyric left, went out, and many other business schools all over Russia, in Moscow, and in other cities have closed down. The examples are galore, and this is not just a temporary decrease connected with the crisis as a phase of business cycle. It's a long-term trend. If we look the trend of students entering MBA academies from 1994 to 2007, we saw a huge increase of doubling of sometimes. And over the following 8 years, these figures have gone down. They have decreased by 50%. I would call it the Great Recession. Now, this term is applied to the economy on the analogy with the Great Depression of the last century. But in business education, we also have a huge recession. Why? There are lots of factors. We can mention the exhaustion of the initial market when at first there was a huge demand in the early years of this century by for managers who had working experience but no systematic education, and now everybody who wanted this education has it, and now their numbers have been going down because it is only newly arriving managers who have just arrived on the professional scene who need this education. And of course, macroeconomic trends are of great importance. In the first years of this century, an average annual GDP growth rate was about 8%, and after 2007, just 1.5%, and during the latest years, the growth has been negative. And the social and political factors were also different. In the early years of this century, the vertical of power was just appearing, and it did not it had no time to suppress private businesses, and by installing order as compared to the anarchy of the 1990s, it even encouraged progress in this field. But after that, this vertical of power has increased its negative influence on the development of business by increasing bureaucratization, the power of functionaries, and pressure on businesses from security agencies, cronyism, etc., etc., and so much. And now the success of a manager depends not so much on his personal qualities, but on his connections. And of course, low costers have arrived. The online program segment of the market has been developing very quickly. It is far cheaper than MBA programs, but they position themselves on the market as fully fledged MBA programs. There are lots of factors, but I would like to pay special attention to one of them. One of the reasons for this crisis in the business schools sector is the quick development of corporate universities. So there is a distribution of the market share from business schools to corporate universities. I have no systematic data, no statistical data which would confirm this hypothesis. However, there is a lot of anecdotal evidence. We have the IBDA school where most students are medium-level business managers, but we have also representatives of large companies from 2008 to 2016. We had 30 students in MBA programs from the Alrosa company, 22 from the Bashneft company. These are companies which have no corporate universities. But the companies who did have corporate universities had very few. For example, 22 from Bashneft and only one from Tatneft, which does have a corporate university. A very good example is that of Kamaz. From 2002 to 2008, we had over 20 students from Kamaz. And in 2008, the corporate university of Kamaz was established, and since then we had not a single student from them in our MBA programs. Thus, there is a real redistribution of shares from business schools, and I believe also from training centers to corporate universities. And in connection with that, very often we hear that competition is growing in this market. This, I do not think so. This is not a competition. This is not a market competition by administrative methods and not by market methods. The corporate universities take their own share. And they are right. Why should they send their managers to some independent business schools while we have our own excellent corporate university? And the very wish of someone to go to business schools may be regarded as disloyalty to their own company, and perhaps their wish to get a degree from that school and to find another job. One more minute for you. You have just one more minute. Okay. Let me take a gulp of water. And the thing is, Mr. Wilson spoke here, Director General of AMBA. And he said that business schools will always remain the leading provider of business education services. And he might be right for Europe, for Western Europe, or the United States. But I wouldn't say this about Russia, because in developed countries with market economies, the basis of the economy is small scale and medium scale business. 70 to 8% of the GDP is produced in small scale and middle scale business. And in Russia, the backbone of the economy is large scale business, which is much more interested in developing corporate universities. So the share of corporate universities will possibly grow. There is no competition between corporate universities. Even in the resource market, as Sergey Kalendzhyan mentioned, our teachers are invited by corporate universities. This is not a resource market competition. A teacher as a resource is a public good. You know, if an engineer works for one company, he cannot work for another company at the same time. There is competition for him, but not for a teacher, because if a teacher works for a business school, he can also work for a corporate university. So there is no competition between business schools and corporate universities. But neither is there any partnership between them, because there are certain points where they meet each other. In business schools, we do need teachers from corporate universities. They strengthen the practical orientation of our programs. And business schools do need corporate universities who, by the width and depth of their approach, make it possible to overcome the narrowness which is natural for corporate universities. But it is not institutions, but teachers, human beings, individuals who have these competences. And it is cheaper to invite a teacher from a business school, and you won't have to share glory with them. And a business school can, for a business school, it is easier to invite a teacher from a corporate university, and in our school, many teachers from corporate universities work, than to cooperate with each other. There is space for cooperation. Here, this Gaidar forum is such a space for cooperation, but we should overcome the conflict of interests. But how can we do that? I cannot answer this question, but I would like to ask it to perhaps to the following speakers. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your energy and this description of the problem. Yes, the Great Recession in business education, from the focus of business school and discussion of the possible reasons, are we short of people, is the structure of the economy to blame, has gone to the sphere of cooperation. Dear friends, I would like to comment something, because my closest friends, Olga and Alexander, we all were students of the economy department of the same university, and we were very good students. And Alexander, my friend, said at the end of his presentation that we invest money in our teachers. For example, Denisov here has given me an invitation to the International Management Teaching Academy. A number of our people worked, studied there, and after that they have become part of the market. So some little fool invested money in his teachers, and my neighbors use them, everybody uses them, but somebody must pay for them. And show we have no privileges. We do not have any tax exemption for investing money into the education of our teachers, and after that they go and distribute their love all over the marketplace. That's one thing. And then another thing, Olga has stressed hubs. Well, no matter what happens, Moscow State University will always remain Moscow State University. It is our alma mater, and we will remember it, and people will come there if they want to get some real sound knowledge. And if we have celebrated together with my friends the 50th anniversary, and the hub will always remain a hub. But there are big changes Our sphere of action was that of business schools, but now it is part. And here in this room there are close friends, my close friends who have worked together in the Russian and German School of Management and the Russian School of Highest Corporate Management, and the Californian Business School was closed down too. So the process, and in Urbis there are also changes, big changes. There's a market and things are changing, and in this changing situation we must adapt to new conditions and find your favorite client, someone who would choose you. And all these technologies mentioned by Olga, well, we should not be very much in a hurry, but still we should not lose time and adapt to the changing times, because if we don't do that, we will perish. Nobody will remember this hub if this hub does not satisfy people who expect certain services from it, do not provide knowledge, for example. Opposite me is the leader of the Kazakhstan market, who is our great friend, comrade and brother, the Management Academy, the Alma University and Alma-Ata, but we have worked together. We used to work together for 10 or 12 years. I would like to conclude by saying that we will win in any case, but we should be more intelligent, and we should understand that around us, well, you remember, there were dinosaurs, so we should change ourselves, otherwise they will take everything from you, but we should not believe that we are fools, that we do not understand what outsourcing is, that we do not understand the market situation. In one of our structures, 99% market is the market money, 1% is the state budget money, and the accountants do not understand where this 1% is. But I believe that within such structures we should set up business schools that would be more favorable for business education conditions, and then we will win in our competitive struggle. You have said thank you in a very formal way. Yes, of course we will win. Yes, together we shall win. And here we could have stopped, but there are people to answer. To reply rather to the arrows that were sent that were shot at the corporate universities. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Vladimirovich, who has a degree in economics. Sorry. Good morning. Colleagues, I am grateful to Sergey Aganovich for this possibility to speak, for this opportunity to speak. I would like to say a few words about the corporate education practice, which within Gazprom, which is a well-known major company, and I would like to mention that the corporate university has had a very long and, as I believe, fruitful history. Last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary, and this corporate university was one of the first institutions that were set up within the company after its establishment, when the former Ministry of Gas and Gas Industry was transformed into a joint stock company, a commercial company, and at about the same time a training center was set up, which later got the status of a corporate university, and we still work in this status. At the slide you see certain figures which characterize the achievements that we have had over the 20 years of our history. quite a lot of education programs have been implemented. Over 60,000 managers and specialists of Gazprom, not only from Moscow, but all regional, regional structures have been trained in various programs, like professional training and retraining. Every year we have about 10,000 students. Now we have 3 platforms: Moscow and Moscow region, and St. Petersburg. There are a lot of programs implemented by foreign partners and colleagues, so this is we have very serious experience. How did this, why did this system appear? These are corporate needs. The company decided that it would be better to develop its own base for training of the personnel, because here you can develop a very good coordination system and directly announce the goals, needs and strategic priorities which the company has in the field of educating its personnel. And the corporate university has implemented and is implementing all those goals and priorities in its work. The main part of our structure is the target-oriented system of education, and Gazprom has developed such a hierarchical multi-level reserve system. The reserve system of personnel, or at 6th level that you see here on the slide, from the branches over lowest branches to the highest level. You see here directors general of large regional branches, who later can take the highest offices, like deputy heads of departments or heads of departments, and even chairpersons of the board. And within this system we have developed independent, original, and I would say even unique products which meet certain requirements for the reserve, which the company formulates in its human resource management policy. The most interesting, the most important programs are 2. You find them on the slide. They occupy the top places. They correspond to the first levels of the reserve, that is management of the global energy company, and Gazprom MBA program, which is called Human Resources Management. As you see, the corporate university implements even an MBA, and I believe that it has been quite successful in achieving this goal. We have already twice had finish this program. I would like to say a few words about these two major programs. Global Energy Company Management, which is meant for the first category of the reserve, which is called the reserve of chairpersons of the board. It has 4 modules, 320 hours, and is taught for 2 years. Here we very closely cooperate both with the major business schools and with the most important universities that have business schools within their structure, which have departments responsible for business education. So here we try to achieve this synergy effect of which many previous speakers have spoken today. We understand that in isolation, no matter how good a corporate university is, no matter how rich its experience of program implementation in educating personnel for the company in accordance with its strategic priorities, well, we cannot achieve much success. So we actively invite the speakers. Sergey Aganovich has taken part in the implementation of our programs as an invited speaker and expert, and other teachers, invited speakers or guest speakers from our universities, major platforms. So this shows that we must here be in the same boat and in the same boots. Otherwise, we lose connection between the business environment, business community, and the corporate environment. These two environments, these two systems must supplement each other and mutually enrich each other. Only in this way can we achieve good, high results and remain actual and exchange programs and best practices and all those important things which are present on the market, and not just on the market, but in the, first of all, in this global information environment in which we are all now. Similarly, do we organize the work in the MBA program in human resource management? It is meant for the second level of the reserve. The system of work, the system of cooperation is similar. There is a close coordination of all the work, the teaching plan, and other things with the company itself, which establishes the conceptual part of the program, and the corporate university itself has the objective to act as a corporate education agent that would select the best providers and the best teachers, the best experts to be invited in order to achieve the goals set by the company. And in view of a good feedback, I believe that this objective has been successfully achieved. And as I have just 1 minute, well, I would now say that there is one original good project, the system for which I am responsible, the system of corporate linguistic training. Here we worked somewhat differently, and here we can draw a certain border between the degree of cooperation between the corporate environment and the external environment. Of course, a corporate university, a corporate education institution can effectively implement certain teaching programs absolutely independently, as acting as an autonomous teaching center, a university which acts as an employer, as the employer for the teachers whom it finds. And one of such finished original products was the system of corporate teaching of foreign languages, which is which has already quite a long experience, 15 years. These programs are also linked to the personnel reserve level, which I have managed, and here we can realize ourselves as an independent provider. We look for teaching resources, we select teachers, we assess them, we develop the programs ourselves, and we give to a teacher whom we have selected a finished program, and he has just to implement it under our methodological control and guidance. We have developed such corporate products as intensive language courses, the immersion programs, because students are allowed to leave their job for 1 week or 2 weeks and to spend this time in a foreign language environment. I have no time to speak in more detail about those programs and projects, and I would like to finish by mentioning one more program of foreign languages teaching. This is the Business Club, and here I would like to come back to the cooperation subject. The Business Club is a platform to which we invite experts once a week on Thursday in the evening. This is a conversation club in which business subjects are discussed.
We invite heads of Gazprom divisions, those who speak English or any other foreign language fluently, to share their ideas in those languages, but we're also open for cooperation with a broad range of external experts. We fully understand that we should not be isolated from the outer environment. Some time ago, I came across a very interesting concept. I was studying international finance markets then. It's called cooperation, which is combination of cooperation and corporation. In most of corporate education projects that we implement, we can achieve this synergy of corporate culture and cooperation, and it will be instrumental for all. Thank you, Vadim. Continuing the topic of corporate universities, I'd like to pass it over to Yulia Uzhakina from Rosatom's corporate university. Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm glad to see you. A few words for those of you who are not familiar with Rosatom and Rosatom Corporate Academy. To set the scene, the context in which I'll be describing the market situation. Rosatom is in charge of the entire nuclear industry of the Russian Federation, 260,000 employees, 90,000 of them are workers, but they are workers with higher education. 90,000 work for a closed nuclear warfare complex. Our academy has existed for 2 years. It's a pretty big unit with a budget of 1 billion plus rubles, which is also part of the volume of the market of corporate education. I'd like to make 3 most important points. First, we're all doomed to cooperate successfully. Why successfully? We just cannot afford being a failure. Yesterday, Mr. Kukushkin said very correctly an arm level for the Russian economy. It's not accidental that I said that Rosatom is the entire nuclear industry of Russia. We're one of the biggest contributors to the Russian economy. The lagging economy is a threat to the sovereignty of the country. For the first time, it was voiced from an official forum, which makes today's discussion a resemble discussion between surgeon and a nurse by an operation table with a patient on it. Are we competitors or partners? We are partners, of course. We are doomed to be partners. With this in mind, dear colleagues, I suggest that we stop discussing if we are competitors or partners. We stand no chances other than being successful partners. My second bullet, my second point. Let's wake up, all of us, all the 3 groups of stakeholders in this triangle. And I'd like to comment on some of the previous presentations. All the 3 categories of players, all of us are suffering from the supremacy or superpower syndrome. We are not hubs anymore. The only hub that exists today is Google. No business school or academy is capable of becoming such a hub. We should say goodbye to this illusion. Another illusion is that we have been stealing students from some third party. We are expected to provide training to 1,000 leaders within a program similar to MBA. Could you pinpoint a business school capable of digesting this amount, this volume, with no cooperation with other participants? Don't forget about engineering education, which brings me back to the topic of technology education. And today we, as corporate university, we are switching from business schools to learning institutions such as MFTI and others of the kind. FISTEC, for example. They are having a great, breathtaking program which excites me personally and inspires too. Therefore, as far as student churn is concerned, nobody is stealing students from anybody. We are going to stop selecting students for open programs. We are unable to buy such an open program, and we do not need it. We need to provide training to our 1,000 employees in partnership with multiple business schools. What else? Conflict of interests. I don't see any interest collision. What we need to overcome is our own mindset, the illusions that we feed. And this should be done by all the three groups of stakeholders. Another illusion, the need to change criteria for service provider selection. We don't need to do that. Let's forget about that. Low price is not an option for us. It's not a criterion we should rely upon. Rosatom is changing some of the game rules. However, it is very difficult to engage in dialogue with Federal Antitrust Service. When we engage in open bidding, it's very difficult for us to select based on criteria other than price. The factor of price will always be key for selection, whether we like it or not. Now, my third point, the belief that we need to think about the agenda of training. On the way here, I remembered our industrial trade show as of 2007. It was called Try to Look into the Future. And then I said that by 2050, every individual would be chipped with those chipsets in brain, which means that there wouldn't be any demand for training. Less than a decade passes on, and now we are asking ourselves, why should we teach English? Google has already invented some device which translates everything automatically. And Rosatom, as conservative an organization as we are, uses it already. Will we need to provide English training to our employees? I'm not sure of that. It is not time to think whether we are partners or not, or competitors. We should try to imagine instead what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years. All of us, Mr. Solovyov, Mr. Kukushkin, everybody says that learning will become electronic and we will have to deal with e-learning. Some of my colleagues would say everything will be televised. theaters were believed to die soon, but it's not the case. What's going to happen to television? In trying to foresee the future, I think that it's better to engage in fruitful discussion with colleagues, form a competition, instead of engaging in even deeper competition. A few words more about partnership. I don't think that it's unique of Rosatom to look at it as one of the most important topics. We should just revisit the notion of partnership between business schools and companies. The answer is not explicit or obvious. Well, our need for business school services is enormous. It is particularly relevant for Rosatom. We have been working with international business schools, but unfortunately, both business schools and training companies, including IBDA, are not ready to pursue pinpointed approach, such as offering dedicated professors. We don't need comprehensive programs and curricula. We're not ready, we're not prepared to work with smaller business schools today. But I believe that one can achieve meaningful results having started from something really tiny. Unfortunately, the format is going away. Major corporate universities are not interested in eating up a huge elephant in partnership with just one big business school. We should revisit our vision of partnership. My last point now. Any discussion what's better, business school, a corporate university, or a training center is irrelevant. The market of business education is much broader market. And what you mentioned about shrinking budgets is not 100% correct. You can't even imagine the budgets some companies have. There may be smaller training companies that insist on lean spending, but I suggest that we not be afraid of enlisting alternative players. And I can add something at the end of our event, our session, if we have any time left. I suggest that now we proceed to training centers. Natalia Tolstaya from Amplua. Good morning. Like Julia, I'm not going to the podium. I will not even switch on my presentation. Why not a training center or a business school or a corporate university? We're playing kind of integrating role on the market, trying to get all the stakeholders engaged in this process for business schools to start interacting more. Like it's done by corporate universities and by the way, Julia was very right in saying that we are doomed to become partners. That's obvious. What can we compare this triangle against? And it crossed my mind that it can be compared with a family. What happens in family? There is a man, there is a woman, there are children, each of them playing their respective roles. And I don't have any doubt that all of them play some education-related role. What is a woman in the family? It's a keeper of traditions, customs. it generates a lot of power, doing a lot of things no man can do. Because men play a different role, many roles, and those roles, I mean those of a man and a woman, are not interchangeable. I have a little daughter, and I know a lot about it. Children are always on the move. They're always driven by something. Let's take our three key market elements. Let's look at corporate universities, for example. Of course, they're capable of providing educational services on their own. But what's unique of them? If there is something only they know how to do. For example, some corporate culture or corporate values or internal interaction, it cannot be offered by either a training company or a business school. It's important for corporate universities to reinforce their stances. What can be done by business schools? By the way, it seems to me that our business schools undervalue it. They can guarantee a certain internationally acknowledged level of education, enabling 360-degree vision. They're playing a very important role of their own. And if business schools undertook this, it seems to me that Western business schools have never been affected by corporate universities when they came to the market. How about training companies? The training companies are smaller, but they are much more agile than corporate universities and business schools. They are capable of reacting much faster to any change when new products come to the market or when the market situation changes. And it is a very important role, and this role cannot be played by the former two. Therefore, if we could take these three components and make each of them play its respective role more efficiently and effectively, the market would develop more dynamically. And we all, each of the three, still have a lot of room for improvement, and we are still at the very initial stage. There is a lot of opportunities for growth and cooperation. That's actually everything. Thank you very much for your attention, colleagues. We have to move on. And now I'm passing it over to Vladimir Solovyov from EVERYCO group of companies. Microphone, please. The microphone is off. I prepared a formal presentation devoted to training companies, their roles, the way I see them, but having heard from the previous speakers, I now think that it would be better to maintain the focus that we set up previously. Firstly, Yulia, I fully subscribe to what you said. I've known Yulia for many years. I fully, I still insist on what I mentioned before. We see more and more corporate universities coming to the market. At last, we have professional customers. I have people who know for sure, I see people who know for sure what they want, who have access to their respective leadership sponsors, who understand their business, the business strategies of their customers, and they know how to work for their customers, in the interests of their customers. We are not cruisers or flat tops, aircraft carriers. We are smaller vessels capable of dropping Marines to the coastal line and living fast. We can say, yes, we need 1,000 people. Many people can say, oh, we are ready to do that. We will do that. We all understand that they will not do that. Each party should understand their respective strong points and limitations. Business schools also want to provide training courses. They come, earn their $500,000, $1 million. When there are 30 guys like that, it will be 30 million, and they can even reach 1 billion. If you know anything about strategy, you know the answer of metrics. But I suggest that we all stay on our respective markets, learning how to do what we specialize on in higher quality and so forth. I'd like to pose a question. To what extent have we exhausted the potential of our respective niches? We often go to retreats. Natalia, am in a position to voice this information. On some retreats, providers, training company representatives meet, and every time we engage in the same dialogue, customers say, you don't hear us. You offer us what you are used to based on your standards, the standards you relied upon for many years. This approach was in existence for 30 years, and you keep on selling and selling and selling, and you developed your PowerPoint slides 10 years ago. I suggest that we reorientate ourselves to our customers. Either with the patient, we should treat the patient. I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't see any competition out there on the market for ourselves. I work where I work, and you will never make me leave this market where I am not present. You work. If I see any opportunity there, I'll come there too. I suggest that instead of engaging in this kind of discussion, we discuss our respective roles. Players know how to do a lot of things. For example, I'm in no position to engage in long-term programs. We can say 5 or 7 modules for staffing reserve, for example, which is normal for business school. It's very difficult for me to sell it, because for me, it's not a standard product. But for business school, it's okay when you as a business school come to sell it to the Agile course, for example. And the customer says, could you please send your Agile coach to meet me? And the guy comes, and the customer starts asking, what do you know about Agile? Maybe he read a book devoted to Scrum a couple of days ago, thinking now that he or she has become a professor in this area. It's peculiar. Each one should play his or her respective role. As a businessman, in 2007, I sold half of our company's stock and decided to establish an HR holding company. We created a company to specialize in the entire HR process. I know many HR directors, and they know me, and I could offer all kinds of products to them. What was the success rate? What do you think? 0. I lost $5 million and all those businesses because they were not mine. What proved to be a success eventually were the things that were mine. I lost so much on e-learning. I tried to engage my own LMS system. Thank God I stopped on time. Senior manager's content proved to be lousy too. Businesses will continue establishing their corporate universities. Not mid-sized businesses, but major business schools can play a role. By the way, I'm going to reveal a secret to you. I'm going to set up a platform for corporate university for major enterprises. You've been discussing hubs. I agree with Julia. Yes, it's a myth. When I hear, we're going to become a hub. What kind of hub are you going to become? You can only become a hub if your potential customers want you to become a hub. For example, some people believe that Sberbank is going to become such a hub. Let's see. Hundreds and thousands will become failure. If you want to go to somebody else's domain, you are doomed to become failure. 1 minute left. What else? Oh, I'm going to finish, actually. That's it. That's really it. Just a brief summary. My point is as follows. There is room and opportunities for everybody. I'm welcoming the advent of corporate universities. All those close organizations will lose. You need to open up. My colleagues say, Vladimir, why are you disclosing so many things to your potential competitors? I'm not secretive. There are huge opportunities, friends. And I'm saying thank you to corporate universities. Even if they open up, they will never ever be able to hire professors for all disciplines. Their business customers will never allow them to do that. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you. It was Vladimir Solovyov, EVERYCO. And the next speaker is Oleg Zamyshlyaev from Oleg Zamyshlyaev workshop.
Good morning, colleagues, participants of the forum. Great thanks for the invitation to speak here. I used to be a student and I had lectures in this room. I am nostalgic about it. I'm not going to change my presentation because it fits quite well with what has been said here, and great thanks to everyone who has spoken here. This is a great platform and a good starting point. A few words about ourselves. We do change management and mostly transformation consulting or transformation teaching than just education. And it so happened that the subject that we have chosen for ourselves did not work for quite a long time, but now has become extremely important. Look, I have made a few observations of what has been happening on the market where businesses work, because we all service the interests of businesses. We do help we develop people, and if we are not needed by them, our schools and corporate universities will be unnecessary, and we will all find ourselves in the street. And what is happening in business? There is a dramatic increase in this pace of the changes, and everybody knows that. But quite recently, I have faced something quite new for me: the renewal methodology, the cycle of renewal of methodology has become quicker than the cycle of its introduction. So an enterprise has just implemented the A methodology, then B methodology appears, and so they have to introduce another one. And I know that because we as change managers are often invited when change management is not very good, and so an enterprise does not have enough time to benefit from the previous methodology, and they have to introduce a new one. A dramatic example: there used to be a wonderful top manager, a mature and experienced one, and he has told me his transformation history. I have always been charismatic and chaotic. I loved my chaos, and people loved me in this chaos. But then lean production was introduced, people came to me, told me to go out to end this chaos. They put labels on everything, and it was difficult for me. I resisted, but in about 2 years, I became happier, and so they said. So the same people have came, and they said, now we have agile. You will have an open space. You will have. You will sit with the hipsters, with Apple computers, and some. I could not. I had to leave my post. I could no longer live in such a situation. So the cycle of renewal of the dominating methodology has become shorter than the cycle of its introduction while it is so, because the teachers, the trainers have failed not to fill him with enthusiasm with this. So there has been a tectonic paradigm shift. I have not such a bad name as the other people. From my branch of my transformation tree, I see. But you see, the tectonic shift. So the objective is not to train people, but to make them want change. So everything is okay. Google is the main hub. A person has been trained, and he doesn't need us. But we can help him want to change. So we should not be teachers, but people who instill enthusiasm for innovation in others. This is what we need to change. And so the needs are changing. New needs appear, and they are less and less structured. And corporate universities, in many cases, very successful, and in most cases, very well structure the need and change it into a need which is comprehensible to teachers, and HR business partners also help here. And somebody said that that chips will be installed in human bodies in 30 years, and somebody said in 30 years there will be no HR. But if this happens, then HR business partners who wonderfully structure their needs will be the last one to become extinct, and those who are able to react to the changing needs. So those will win who understand the needs. So a critical need become a key. And now let us specifically think what is going to happen what are the difficulties which appear in connection with this quick change of the pace of the changes. So we should develop a quick new programs. So thank you for your metaphor of little ships, mine trawlers. Those little training companies, I believe, can be much quicker in developing programs because they are small and they can be doing quicker. But what do they do still? They have developed a program and they try to make money on the delivery of this program. If they are unhappy with the old situation, leadership, if not, then something else, something of their own. So they try to get money on this. But how can they compete? Because they need benefit for the owner of the company, but it's unrealistic. What is happening in the world? British and American experience from 1 to 1,000 pounds for ready-made product, for us, in rubles, it is 20 or 30,000. Where do we have fresh training products for 20 or 30,000? And if a training company has developed it, it either implements it or sells it for 2 or 3 million. But what a corporate university would buy a program for 2 or 3 million if they can develop something much cheaper themselves? And if you look at the file, you don't know whether this program is good or bad. So I think I think a reasonable price for a very well made teaching course is 200 to 30,000, from 200 to 300,000 pounds delivery. The situation with delivery is much more complicated because operational perfection ensures the success of delivery, and training companies, as they are separate economic units, they have a higher price for delivery, and I believe that business schools have a wonderful opportunity to ensure perfection in program delivery, because the initial check is lower. We have started because from the teacher will go to a corporate university because they have very good conditions, and the advantage of business schools is very good delivery. Academic school, let's not forget the experience of teachers. You can achieve good quality, and the cost of delivery is lowered. So I believe that there are some good prospects. And I would like to add to the three factors that have been mentioned, the fourth factor. I have a good example from a wonderful prosperous metallurgy company. What about your corporate university? We don't have a corporate university. We have a network structure. We develop freelancers. We like them. We care for them, and they work for us. And how can we compete with a network structure? It is impossible to compete with a network structure because they have minimum delivery cost, fantastic quality, micro competition. And thank you very much, Volodya, that we should tell everything to everybody. We give all programs to them, and if they steal them, and yes, well, it will become obsolete and nothing, and we won't lose anything because the program is not important. So a network structure is a fourth force, which is a great threat to training companies. But I believe that the market of such expensive delivery has fallen, and that is the result of freelancing. So they continue to prepare. The cost is going down, accessibility is growing up, and so network structures will start to dominate. And when you say that teachers are public property, well, it is also a network resource, but they have not created a Uber over them, and that's all. So what should we do? 1 minute. Yes, I am finishing. What should we do in this situation? I believe that there is operational perfection, mass delivery, corporate universities and network structures do it obviously very, very well. I believe that business schools do it even better because initially they have a very good business model from the point of view of delivery price. So perhaps we should think about the content, where we should take the development, and agile. These are renewed and new, fastly developed programs which torpedo boats have come. They have brought a landing force, and then they leave. So the price for a new, fresh program, not 200,000 programs, well. So there's a certain experience, and there's another possibility for business schools and universities. So this is breakthrough technologies. I do not see many of them. I don't see many universities doing this in this country, but in the world they do it. And business schools and universities have very good opportunity to establish international connections, which a small training company cannot do. For corporate university, there are certain limitations, but here perhaps there is a certain positive for business schools. So these are three key conclusions. Transformation of relationship instead of education. So you motivate for transformation. The role of the trainer is to infuse with innovation instead of training. And delivery by network structure instead of heavy and cumbersome hierarchical structures, and if we have good competence, good delivery and development of long distance delivery breakthrough technologies, including using international experience. Thank you very much. I have finished. Thank you very much, Oleg. colleagues. Marina Petrova has the last presentation, and at the end I will give 1 minute for all participants. Marina Petrova, Director General or leader of regional business groups. Dear colleagues, my old New Year congratulations. We forget about this event. Well, I would like to thank the colleagues who have spoken before me. I would like very briefly, the moderators asked me to be brief, and so I have reduced my presentation. As the Russian Association of Business Education has a very good experience in merging three structures to produce a very good business education product. So we have created two standards. One of them is the regulation on accreditation of business trainers and regulation on the accreditation of training centers. And so all the three market players worked in this: business schools, corporate universities, and training centers, which have used their enormous expertise and made a very good product. For 3 years we have been offering to the most chaotic and fast-changing market of training services, we suggest standardization for it. And so what is the main conclusion over these 4 years? So this market is not ready for standardization. And very often the announced level of business trainers for certification is really higher than it is in reality. And we have developed three levels of standardization of business trainers in order to show the difference. Which business trainers can be regarded as masters, which can be regarded as professionals, and which can be regarded as practitioners, good high-quality practitioners. What did our experience show? Many people consider themselves past masters, but there has been an example when a person was offered the lowest level, the level of practitioner, because the three levels developed has shown that the main competences are not that this master who sells himself as a master has no basic competences. And there were high-quality professionals who wanted to be certified as professionals, but when we conducted certification, we saw that this person had all the competences to be certified as a master. What do we want to do in the market? And what is the work which I believe very important in order to enter into a partnership relationship, and I support my colleagues who said that there is a space for cooperation, a space for a certain clarity and standardization, but it should not be too rigid and too cumbersome in order to avoid not fitting within the reality of the market. And so we need to create accreditation and training centers that would allow all over the country, which would allow to create the standard quality and to help those trainers who would like to provide high quality services for business education in Russia. That's all for me. Thank you very much, Marina. We have several people who would like to speak. I would like to give the floor for short remarks to such persons. I would give the floor to Irina Robertna Orkelyan from Moscow University MBA program, cooperation between business and the state. Well, I have a presentation, but as I have very little time, I will just say a few words. My presentation would be sort of drawing conclusions of what we have said here, and I would like to call your attention to the fact that what we should do as corporate universities, academic universities, training centers, etc., all this will be needed already now by the policy which must be pursued in order to ensure competitiveness of the essence of cooperation between the state and business, and this should be reflected in a single system. When we talk about the spiral of innovation, a lot of importance attached to education, business, and state. Science gives us fundamental knowledge. Education connects this fundamental knowledge with business structures, and the state structure provides a single uniform economic policy. Agamben has said several times on many occasions that we need focused research and well-balanced policy between the state and business, and here there could be no contradictions. All the institutions must learn to transform, they must strive to transform, and all the institutions should support the policy which would be shaped by the new economic system, and this new economic system will give us a new education system, and I believe that now we already see the main contours of this new system of education, and we have partially formulated it. And what globalization and technological development give us now, and the fact that we cannot ignore what happens in the world, that poor countries catch up with rich countries, even if they catch up with the level of technological development, and this could be achieved only if we understand that engineers, technologists and managers are necessary, not finance specialists. We must work for new cost, new added value, for what we did not used to have. In fact, we need to understand what the demand situation for qualification we have, and what is the supply of qualification. And here, technological progress shows what the technological system of education must be, and here all the institutions must play their role, and I see they are all ready for transformation. I believe that the economy would benefit from that. Friends, our section is lucky because since the very morning we have done it support the person who established the best and the oldest business school in Russia and Central Europe, and she is the head of a brilliant association of business education, members of which we have been for quite a long time. So a few words from you, your comments, please.
Thank you very much for this great honor. I would like to say that I really learned a lot today here, listening to all of the speakers. And I absolutely agree that we have to work together. Everybody who wants to change something and to contribute to the society should do something. And I was recently in China in Shanghai meeting of business schools, and there I was yesterday. I already mentioned that, and I was very surprised to see how the American business schools explained, some of the best ones, how they have to start to understand differently the needs of business if they want to survive, and how they have to collaborate. And it happened to me recently. I was invited. My school has more than 70% of foreign participants, which is a great compliment because I come from Slovenia and hardly anybody knows for Slovenia, but everybody knows for the management school and for Siemens, of course. And and I was invited to Switzerland, to a very big international pharmaceutical company. And then 8 managers from that company were 2 days, from morning till the late evening, explaining me what are their needs, the structure of the company, the mission, the vision, the everything. So I came home with really, I think I understood what they need. And now I'm already 2 weeks with my professors working on that, and it will still take some time to make a good program for them. So I think that business schools have a great responsibility, and that we are only followers instead of, or too much followers instead of forerunners in change. I think that we should really become much more innovative, and we should combine the knowledge from different professions to make education more inspirational, because the knowledge you can get in Father Google and Mother Google, but you have to start to inspire people who come to you in the school. And I would like at the end to say that I thank you very much, Sergey, to mention IMTA, International Management Teachers Academy, because there we could really help with teaching, methodology of teaching to corporates, to everybody. It's every year in June, we bring some of the best professors from all over the world, and we are teaching teachers. And it's especially about methodology, because we are now teaching sustainable development, but nobody knows how to teach. We don't know where to find the materials, how to teach ethics, etc. So these are the great dialogues going on, and I know that some Russian schools are sending this, but I would make a plea for that too. So thank you very much, and thank you, the panel, for letting us, for sharing your ideas how to become better with us. Thank you.
Спасибо, Даница. Дорогие друзья,
Thank you, Danica. We also, dear friends, we also have the leader of business education in Kazakhstan and Central Asia, the president of Alma University, Asandy Bazarbayevich Khuzhakhmetov. His school, the first in Kazakhstan, was the first to be accredited with AMBA. Thank you very much for this invitation to speak. It will be rather spontaneous. I didn't plan it. As for effectiveness, I am a member of the Russian Business Education Association. There used to be the CIS Business Education Association, and before that a similar establishment for the Soviet Union, and I have always been a member of all of them. And now I used to come to Moscow once in 5 years, then once in 3 years, and now I come to Moscow once every year. And I have an experience of observing what's happening in Kazakhstan and what in Russia, and I believe that institutionally I don't see any growth of Russia. The institutional forms of development, the forms, the schools, they are the same as 20 years ago. Why am I talking about that? It's easier to speak for me because I represent the private sector. We have a private school, business schools. At first we had a training center, then International Business Academy. Now we have a university. And we have always been looking for forms of change. Agile. Well, 20 years ago we were agile, although we didn't know the word. Looking back, I think, what's the difference between what we did and what we do? And in the latest years, we wanted to introduce the projective approach, engineering approach. That's why we have opened an engineering school. I hope we will become successful. Then we have set up a trustee council. We have always good relations with the business, but there was no business involvement. And it was clear that we needed a somewhat more solid platform. I wouldn't say that this trustee council has given us a lot of money, although it did give some. But I see that in future there will be better results. I see that they increasingly understand us better, and First, we started not with financial support, but content support. They came to us and said, "You haven't got this and that. We need that," and so we introduced what they wanted us to introduce. So this made us more resilient for the future. Now we have this remote learning programs. We have introduced remote learning programs. They are growing, although they are not the biggest part of our work. And we have, for this, we have used new technologies. We have reworked our materials. Our teachers began to record it and to work on it. So I saw teachers' development. And as for MBA programs, we have 500 students every year. And even during the latest years of the crisis, this figure has not fallen. It's more or less the same. And for even 11 years, we have had the DBA program. And we have 40 to 50 people every year. We see that we are afloat, but we see that certain things are going away. Corporate universities have their own markets. People say, let us cooperate, but I don't see how we can cooperate. Nobody says how we can cooperate. If somebody asked me, I would say it's impossible. We are competitors. We have large corporate universities. One of our former students is the director of a corporate university, Sambor Kazna, and they want to reduce their expenditure, and so they say it's cheaper for us to invite your teachers to work at high wages. I tell her, if you take teachers from me, you deprive me of the resources necessary to grow them up. You will not grow your own teachers. You will take teachers from the market ad hoc at the minimal price. But you don't have the objective of getting them at a minimal price. Your objective is to develop potential. If we agree that you take our teachers and you pay them 20 to 30% more, but you have, but you will have our resource. And you should develop this teaching base, and if they do not work well, you should pay less. Also, I should perhaps stop soon. And it has been mentioned here, well, development of the potential, although they say that teachers have been taken from him. Yes, people took a lot of teachers from us over the 20 years, but I say always that we work for the development of the market. If companies have taken our teachers and the companies will become stronger and we have good relations, then we have grown our future. We work in spiral, and the second part of the spiral will meet our teachers, or perhaps later. But we should think not just of today, but also about our future and our codependence. We depend. Our job is to make the Kazakhstan market civilized. I'm against low costers. Our cost of education. We want our GDP to be as big as in the West, but our cost must be reduced. But if we are entering the knowledge economy, then the cost of knowledge should grow. The low cost principle is rather questionable for me.
Colleagues, we are in the end of our session. I suggest that each of the speakers make conclusion. You have 30 seconds each. I'd like to add something in the end. We had discussion between three groups of stakeholders, but I see that we are experiencing a communication problem. Every time I meet an HR director of a major company, I see that people don't know who potential providers are and so forth. And I say, yes, those guys have been on the market for a long time. Some time ago, I met a very good business school, and I was discussing it with the customer, saying, look, there is a great business school, and the customer knew nothing about that school. Well, this communication problem needs to be solved. One of our top managers in Rosatom said, nothing unites people in the same perfect way as the feeling of the closeness of death. Either we unite or we will be doomed to die together, all of us. I do think that a dialogue about the roles is necessary. It's not trivial dialogue, and it will be very useful. I think that business schools and training companies do not understand the potential role of corporate universities. However, we as a corporate university will not be able to achieve our goals without business schools and training centers. As far as the division of labor is concerned, we have to discuss it. Olga, you're welcome. Will you come up, please? 30 seconds. Don't forget that we are short of time. I'll be brief. I mentioned it yesterday. While we're trying to figure it out who has the upper hand, cutting the pipe, we fail to identify the actual problem. For some reason, quality education is being replaced by something which is much poorer, but wrapped up in great wrapping. People who require training, their mindsets are different. They think that by paying $5,000 they will learn how to earn $1 million, and I consider this to be the biggest threat. This is our biggest problem. If we fail to overcome this problem, we will just disappear. Colleagues, don't forget to introduce yourselves. Natalia Sineva, General Director of the Russian Association of Business Education at the National Business Education Council. Look, first, thank you very much for this very interesting discussion. It was a very useful session. I didn't want to speak today. It wasn't my plan, but I'd like to address Yulia and Natalia. The call to unite is a great call. In our association, we have been doing our best to unite those who are very difficult to unite. I know that there is professional corporate university association. There is a great example I'd like to draw attention to. We have been considering the development of partnership between corporate universities, training centers, and business schools. I know that Mark, Vladimir, and Marina know about that well. So far it has been very difficult for people to get united, to come up with a common product for the market. We invited them, all of them, and said, go and work. And they yielded a great result. And yesterday, at our meeting, we approved provisions on certification, accreditation, and so on, which is a great product, great deliverable. If you're interested, why don't we continue doing that together at the office of our association, Svetlana, and then you. Northwest Corporate Governance Institute. for the shortage of time, I'll confine myself to saying, firstly, thank you, all the speakers. We've had quite productive discussion. We familiarized ourselves with the Rosatom experience. Our institute, Northwest Institute, is kind of innovative venue in terms of education, organizational structure, transformation. Currently, we are working without any chairs, and we're in the second year with the spouses. Our curricula are changing, being quite adaptive, customizable. We are also creating so-called base chairs or departments. Enterprises come to us to establish those departments, and we cooperate with them. They serve great footing for hands-on education, hands-on training. We start from secondary education, and we educate personnel for businesses. As to weak points, the first speaker mentioned that. And it was repeated in the end of the session, is that people are not acquainted. So I suggest that we speak to each other, speak more. Yesterday we discussed with Natalia how to become a member of RAPO. It is our objective today to introduce ourselves to the outer world. I am from Ценовые контактные решения. I'm acting as commander of torpedo boat, although I served as a strike craft commander. I see that in terms of creativity, you're all great, but there is another session going on in parallel now, which is devoted to public procurement. You mentioned barriers that we are unable to overcome. I think that with our educational potential, we can overcome them. Sorry, there is no microphone. I cannot hear anything. The community represented here has creative potential and administrative capacity to influence upon the existing procurement system of Russia, which also affects the market of educational services, making life easier for those who dump on the market of educational services. Thank you very much for your very important point. The last one, Vladimir Yevgeny, Russian Union of Businessmen and Entrepreneurs. Over the 3 days of the forum, we've heard a lot about having bigger enterprises, smaller businesses, small and medium businesses. Once we've started to understand that the structure of our industry is the same as that of other industries, we will see that we don't have to fully rely upon competition. We also need cooperation and collaboration between all the stakeholders. We also believe that it is necessary to take better advantage of our internal capacity, the activities that we're engaged in, and I encourage you to be more active in that. There is support on the part of the government, so please take part in our trade shows, in our other activities. Thank you very much, Vladimir. Does anybody else want to add anything? Colleagues, I can help adding. regardless of the sectors we represent, are always two stakeholders, students and customers. The customers want bigger, better deals. But we also want our products to be useful, not only tasty. I'm pretty concerned when you call your students attendees. Nobody wants to be an attendee. Everybody wants to be involved, engaged. So they're students, now to customers. Every business person wants to buy cheaper. Even when buying a Bentley car for 30 million, he wants or she wants to get a, even if it's a 9 million worth car, he or she wants a 300,000 discount. Anybody else? Oleg, Marina? I like what Yevgeny mentioned regarding the wrapping prevailing over the content. In 2007, a change management study was completed, which cost a fortune. Success factors for now successful companies were identified. Do you think they earned on that? No. There are two ways. Either we know how to combine great content with beautiful wrapping, and I suggest that our business schools start working on that, or trying to change the laws of the market for the consumers not only to pay attention to the wrapping but also to the content. Obviously, the world has turned to wrapping. Marina, I'd like to say thank you to Sergey Mesuyedov for this idea to gather us all at a dedicated Gaidar forum session to discuss the topics that are most relevant for ourselves. Thank you, all of you. Sergey Mesuyedov, RANEPA president, is here with us. Thank you very much for coming. Just 30 seconds, colleagues. I am really thankful to you for this discussion as RANEPA president. Apart from being president of the academy, we have the same blood, actually. I'm so happy that this discussion took place. But I still have an impression that the brightest Russian intellectuals, are engaged in trying to split a hair. There is no, the market is huge, and there are niches for both corporate universities and business schools and training centers and coaches and consultants. When we start working together, coming to know each other, we say to each other, look at the potential of the synergy. I'm not going to follow. And again, thank you very much for this discussion. Let's get united. Our objective is to enable the development of this country through offering great education services to businesses. Is that everything, colleagues? To summarize very briefly, I hope that we have managed to understand that in the center of this triangle is the business. We have set goals and objectives for ourselves. Having seen opportunities that are available to us, I don't think that anything is going to change. But a lot will change from the perspective of content. Today we heard from more than 90 people. I'm sure we now have a lot of ideas regarding how our cooperation can be achieved and facilitate. Let's say thank you to each other Sergey, I think that we have fulfilled the task, having found venue to unite business schools and training centers and corporate universities. We understand now that we have to like and love each other, but we have failed to agree on terms and conditions yet. I'm sure we're going to do that at the next Gaidar forum. Thank you.